But then if there were dinosaurs on the ark during the flood and they got off the ark and they lived with man after the flood, then shouldn't we find some written historical documentation of that? Surely people would write about that, and indeed they would, and they did, and we have a lot of accounts of this. But remember, the word dinosaur is a brand new word, not invented until 1841, but before then they were called something else, and we find this name in pretty much every single culture all around the world. What were they called? Dragons. And we find these legends, they're legion. They are all over the place in pretty much every single culture. Now, some are embellished, of course, but many of them describe known types of dinosaurs. And even the honest evolutionist knows about these. Watch this little clip from the Discovery Channel.
There is one creature remembered in the legends of almost every human culture that's ever existed. A creature depicted with remarkable similarity by the Chinese, the Aztecs, even the Inuit, who live in a frozen land where no reptiles are found. Even they have stories of this animal, the dragon. Cultures from different continents, people who had no contact with one another, yet all of them have stories describing the same mythical animal. Could it be these stories were more than myth? What if we discovered that this creature that haunts our imagination had once been real?
Now, of course, I'll try to explain those away with an evolutionary worldview, but the point is they acknowledge the legends. And there are so many of these. We have whole books on this issue. Just a few examples very quickly. St. George is said to have killed a dragon around 275 AD. And the description of the dragon that he killed fits that of a dinosaur known as Baryonyx. And in that very same region, we do find bones of Baryonyx. A city in France, renamed in honor of the dragon that was killed there, described as bigger than an ox with long, sharp-pointed horns on its head, maybe a triceratops of some sort. Marco Polo, the man, not the game, reported in 1271 AD that the emperor in China used dragons to pull his chariots in his parades. Which, by the way, if I was an emperor and there were dragons around, they'd pull my chariots too, because that's awesome. All right? This makes really good sense. Well-known historians like Aristotle and Herodotus, they reported seeing flying dragons. Herodotus may know this in his writings, where he went to go see these winged serpents as they flew for Egypt. And he says he saw them. And he says they were like snakes. They were reptilian. And their wings were not feathered, but they were membranous, like the wings of a bat. The Historia Animalia, a very well-known old secular science book, said dragons were still around in the 1500s, but were rare by then and fairly small in comparison to those older dragons. You also find carvings and drawings all over the world that appears to show man with dinosaurs. A few examples of those. Here's a piece of ancient Egyptian pottery, seems to show two long-necked dinosaurs. A Roman mosaic from the 2nd century, again, two long-necked dinosaurs. Or go over to northern England, visit Carlisle Cathedral, see the tomb of Bishop Bell, who died around 1500, and there are brass strips around his tomb with carvings of animals on those strips, and some of those carvings look like known types of dinosaurs. Or go to Cambodia, visit this temple built around 1,000 years ago, zoom in on the column of this temple, you have what appears to be a clear depiction of a stegosaurus, the dinosaur with the plates on the back. Bringing it back closer to home, over in Colorado, here's a pictoglyph of quite possibly a triceratops. You got the big body, plated back of the head, 3 horns. Of course, the evolutionists say, no way, that's just a really bad goat. Those Indians were terrible artists. But if you look above, they know what a goat looks like. All right, they weren't confused by that. But it gets a lot better than that. Over in Utah, close to there, we find another cave wall drawing of what is clearly a sauropod dinosaur. You have the long tail, the 4 legs, the neck, and the head, a very, very clear depiction. Also close to there, another cave wall drawing of a pterosaur of some sort. It would appear with those distinctive features, the bump on the head and the webbed feet. Another cave wall drawing of a different sauropod dinosaur, enhanced so you can see it better, but there you go. Here's a fun one to end on as far as this subject goes. This is a creature given to us by the Aboriginal people, and they called this creature Yaru. And they say Yaru was a real creature, it was a real menace. And in this picture, they're showing us the time that Yaru ate one of their friends. And they're trying to get their friend back or get revenge or something like that. And Yaru looks a whole lot what we call a plesiosaur. And guys, if we had time, we could just go on and on and on for a really, really long time. There's so many of these. And again, even the honest evolutionist knows about these. And they're going to be consistent. They need to try to deal with these from an evolutionary perspective, and some have tried. And it gets interesting when they try. One quick example. Have you guys ever heard of Carl Sagan? Maybe a few of you have. Okay. Because Carl Sagan was a popular scientist back in the day. He was a brilliant man and a staunch non-believer and a staunch evolutionist, but definitely brilliant. And but he believed in hardcore evolution, and so he knew about these dragon legends all over the world that sounded like man with dinosaurs. And he said, we know that can't be true. But he said, then how do we explain all these legends of man with dinosaurs, at least what appears to be in these accounts? So he sought to answer that question in the book, The Dragons of Eden. And this was the hypothesis he put forward. He suggested, he said, well, we know evolution is true, he said. And we know that humans evolved from small mammal-like critters that lived millions of years ago. And these small mammal-like critters, these small mammal ancestors of ours, they lived with the dinosaurs millions of years ago. And the dinosaurs were so big and terrifying that the memory of the dinosaurs imprinted itself onto the brain of our small mammal-like ancestors. And then as those things began to evolve onward and upward, they kept passing on that memory to one thing over the next over the eons of time. And then some humans back in the day still had that vestigial leftover memory from their ancestors. And when those humans went to sleep at night, that memory would click on. Those humans had dreams of the old dinosaurian world, and they would see the dinosaurs their ancestors saw. Then they would wake up and write about what they saw or draw pictures of what they saw. And he said, that's how we get all these dragon legends that sound a lot like man with dinosaurs.